Hello my friends, how are you all keeping? Very well, I hope. Part 2. I hope you enjoyed part 1. I thought that was quite fun. Very interesting to see the lights on the trees, I think. Really covers, or really catches your eye. So, part 2. A lovely little fisherman sitting on a boat, just peacefully looking out into the water in a world of his own, lovely and peaceful. Let's take our time. I think it's going to be quite nice when it's finished. So, yeah. Let's go on and finish part 2 of this. Enjoy. Right, let's do this and have some fun. Here we are. We've this much done so far. I think what I'm going to do next is just sketch out the boat and maybe a very rough outline of this person that's sitting down on the boat. What do you think? I'll try some burnt sienna perhaps. I think just a nice light shade. I won't go too dark. Make it easier to cover later. So I'm just simply going to go... where would we go from? How about here, like this, just very, very loose, up at a slight angle. We come back, and this is very important, okay, for perspective. It's always going to come up higher than it is at the bottom, okay? That gives you your perspective. So you can see now it's sort of going off into an angle, isn't it? Kind of a slight angle. And, okay, let's maybe just sketch in. We could sketch in the feet or something like that, but look, we don't have to, but I think it might be a good reference to just kind of sketch in the knee and just around, you know what I mean? Just a kind of a quick couple of lines, just a few little lines, I think will help give us a good idea of where we're going with all of this. So the back, I'm going to go out a bit for the back. Okay, something like that. It comes right around with the shoulder, doesn't it? Now, the arm kind of goes up at a slight angle like this, doesn't it? And then it comes at another kind of an angle like that. It's very rough with the jacket there as well, isn't it? So I'm just really now, this is very kind of loose that I'm doing. We have the hood, which kind of comes like that and around, a little bit more paint. So the hood comes around like that, goes up. And because the background is wet now, this is a little bit difficult, but it's not too difficult to be quite honest. Not too difficult. And it comes across like that, and down. And I think I could worry about the face maybe later, just possibly an impression of maybe the beard coming up like that, and then the hat. Now the hat coming along, that's probably the most important part of all of this, I would say. So the hat kind of comes around like this. It's not that far really, it doesn't go that far, does it? And it comes up like that, and across. And that's just a very loose sketch, okay? It's not perfect. I know it's not perfect. And it doesn't have to be perfect because the paint will fill in a lot of this later. Okay? Just remember that. The paint will fill in a lot of this. So you can make the feet a bit bigger if you want. Look, the legs, you can make them a little bit bigger if you like. And it all sort of just blends in together. Now, that's pretty much what I'm after. That's what I want to get. So let's move on. Let's move on and let's move on. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm going to mix up this dark color again and bring it in. All right. I'm going to take some black, a little bit of turpentine in this now, some burnt sienna, a little touch of phaylo blue, and then a touch of cadmium yellow. Now this looks very black on the palette. I can see it looks very black, but it's not. It's a blacky kind of a green. You see that? Look, let's add a bit more burnt umber into it actually. Make it a bit more browny green. I'll just go up here, fill in some of that there. It's quite dark. It's actually quite dark up there, isn't it? So I'm just going to soften some of that in. Kind of disappearing off into the back, just to continue it down, that's all. So I'm going to go in here like this. and I'm softening this into the wet paint behind. You can see that kind of darker colour. It's still a little bit wet. I'm creating this little circle. I'm going to go right in with that. And remember, this is just really kind of an undercoat for the darks, okay? I'm not trying to finish the colour completely this first time. I just want to kind of go and fill in and leave those bright areas where we have those lovely highlights. So you can see we have one kind of coming along, it goes up like that, and around and across. And this is all very, very loose. Very, very loose. Going around by the boat. So you can get the idea of what I'm doing. And look, I'm not copying this exactly either. I'm sort of putting my own little twist on all of this as well. I'm kind of, you know, I'm looking very roughly at the direction, the shapes and all that kind of thing. But realistically, I'm just sort of putting my own take on it, if you like. I'm not kind of, look, I'm not a big fan of copying things exactly. Now, it may look pretty close, but, you know, I've no intentions of copying something to make it look exactly the same. It's not a photograph, it's a painting. And as such, it should look like a painting. So, that's what I have so far. All right. Go up here and I'll just soften these back with the brush very gently. Trying to create that softness up there. And I'll stop at that. So we have kind of the outlines for the lighter colours in our water, don't we? Next, I think what I might do is possibly put in the orange boat. Let's go. And I'm going to use some burnt sienna. And I think just some cadmium yellow. I think just those two colours is probably enough. Okay, we'll go with that. Let me just fill this in. And go up at an angle again. The problem with these two colours is they're very transparent. So they don't cover the white canvas very well. In other words, compared to Naples yellow or burnt umber or something like that, they're very thick pasty colours. Whereas cadmium yellow and burnt sienna, they're very sort of transparent, very luminous transparent colours. So they don't really cover the canvas as well as you would like. So they're very vibrant, in other words. Now, I'm going to stop at that. And I'm then going to start adding some cadmium yellow with some Naples yellow. And what I want to do now is really catch some brightness down here. On this side of the boat down here, okay? And soften it up. Now, because I have Naples yellow on this, it's going to start brightening and covering that canvas really well. And the important part of all of this is to keep cleaning your brush in between. That's very, very important. Keep going with your brush cleaning. Now, next I'm going to take some burnt umber and burnt sienna. And it's very dark coming down here, the shadow of this guy's foot or leg is very strong here, isn't it? So I'll take some burnt umber into the sienna and soften it down like this, okay? And even in underneath the boat all the way along. You could add a touch of that darkness as well. And slowly but surely you will begin to see all of this coming to life. And what I will do, as I have this burnt umber and sienna on my brush, I'm going to take a touch of cadmium red and I'm going to put in, with this colour, the reflection as well. So I'll bring the reflection out like this. Maybe a bit brighter, yes? Maybe just a little. I'm just going to fill that in. Clean the brush again. I'll go into some cadmium yellow this time, just to brighten it ever so slightly. That's better now, isn't it? So we've that then in between the dark shades. And just take your time, please. Just take your time, okay? There's no rush with this. You can take as long as you want. You don't have to get it finished in the time frame that I'm getting it finished, okay? You really don't. You can really take your time with this. So I'm just kind of used to doing something fairly quickly, but you really don't have to. You can just take your time. Now I've just taken a bit of black with the burnt sienna, but it's mostly black, okay? And I'm just going to go across these little ripples here. I just want to strengthen those ripples a little bit more, just as they come in. And up under here, there's a lot of dark as well. So you can see basically what I'm doing. I'm just kind of going over some of this dark blacky green with some black basically. Because I want these really to stand out against the lights. And you can begin to see it take a little shape. The next thing I want to do is get this reflection of this person in here. For that, I'm going to try some phaylo blue, some black, and maybe a touch of Naples yellow. Because his jacket is kind of a green, it's kind of a like greyish fawny, kind of a little bit of shadow at the back. So I think a kind of a greeny grey colour might work better for this. So I'm going to put that colour in, and you see, just let that wiggle down, maybe take a hint of Naples yellow, and I can use that for the lighter sides of the jacket as well. And I know you're finding it probably difficult to see all of this colour, but I promise you it is there. Now I'm going to take again some burnt sienna with cadmium yellow, and you see there's a little hint of a glow going across his coat as well, just here and there. Then I'll take the small pointy brush and I'll go in there with some, you know, let's just go and try some Naples yellow with some sienna perhaps, and just give a little wiggle here and there. It's really just to break up the reflection and show that there's kind of lights hitting his jacket as well from the sun, so they're going to be reflected slightly. And that's all it is, just to show that all of this stuff is going on. Now I'm going to then take some black, and I want to cut across those with that line again, okay? Just to separate the reflections from the jacket. So you can see then, you see, it's breaking them up again. Okay, next it's time to fill in these lights, and this is where it will all make sense. Because I know at the moment it looks a bit strange, okay? It's very higgledy-piggledy. Let's put in some of these lights. For that, I'm going to use lots of white and a little phaylo blue. Just the tiniest little amount. And I'm going to go over here and just start filling in these colours. And the really lovely thing about the oils at this stage is that you can then begin to soften these lovely blue colours into the darks around, okay? You see that darky kind of colour there? So I can grab my blue, put it on, and I can almost kind of soften it just where they meet. You see that? Just by running the brush very gently across it, you get that beautiful soft feeling. You see that? Isn't that wonderful? And that just adds to the reflection. It gives it that beautiful soft feeling. Okay? And I think that just works a treat. It really does. I'm going to go up here and put some of that in up here. Again, clean your brush in between. You could even add some Naples yellow with some white as well, giving it more of a glow. Because the Naples yellow will give this a beautiful colour. I'm going to pop some of that down here, look. You see what I mean? And I'll come over here, pop some of that across here as well. And keeping it lovely and flowy, you see? That's the trick. When you're painting something like this, just keep the brush nice and flowy, okay? Don't kind of go like this. Just keep it nice and flowy in one brush stroke. Okay, bring it around, nice and soft, softening it in as you go. You see? And try really just to enjoy yourself. That's what I would say. The important thing with all of this really is to try and enjoy it. That's the big thing for me. If you feel like you're not enjoying it, if it's becoming a little bit too difficult for you, you know, stop, take a break, go for a coffee or something, and then come back to it. That's what I would do. So up here, I'm just going to kind of soften it out, almost creating little ripples as it's coming out. You see that? It's just sort of disappearing in and disappearing down and around. I'll just pop another little bit of that colour in across here. I'm just going to add another one in here. And you know what? That's not bad so far, is it? What do you think? I'm quite happy with all of this so far. It's turning out quite nice, I think. So you can see we've just sort of went in by the reflections and it's looking good already, I think. Now I'm going to take my small flat brush, very small flat brush, and this is where I really start adding some brightness into the painting. I take some blue and plenty of white. Okay, I'm going to take some of that. I'm going to come up here now and start adding some of that around here and there. So, introducing lots of bright colour. And remember, just keep it fun, keep it light-hearted. You know, don't feel like you need to paint every single tiny reflection and movement, because that will never happen. It's going to be impossible. You will find it very difficult if you try and do that. So I kind of just kind of tap on a little bit of paint here and there and see what happens, you know, because more often than not, that's when something really will come to life. You see what I mean? Just little blobs of paint. Tiny blobs of paint with a little pointy brush even, or something like that. I'm going to come over here and add a little bit onto this. like that. I think I just need to refine some of these. Another small one here, perhaps. I can kind of, I can mess around with these reflections as much as I need to get them right, basically. So, there's no pressure. And I can change some of the darks if I like and add some on. It's completely up to myself. Okay. No, I'll stop at that, just for a moment. And if you like, then you can, if you want to soften them in a little bit more, just get your little brush and soften them back in, ever so slightly. If you get the feeling that they're a little bit too kind of sharp and crisp, if you feel like there's almost too much paint on there, let's just get a small brush and very gently soften them away. And you can even soften them into the reflection as well, if you like. You can just go along and soften all of this together. It's up to yourself. There. I better start doing the man because he could take a little time, couldn't he? But let's just go and have a bit of fun with this. I'm going to mix up a purpley shade first and get the purpley shades done. I think that's probably the safest. So I'll start with the purpley shades, like for instance the back of his coat and the back of his hat. Magenta, blue, and a little touch of burnt umber. I'm going to start putting in some of the shaded areas first, like this. And that will just give us basically something to kind of work on, Sometimes I do like to put in the shadowed colours first and work on top of those. That does help a lot of the time. So, there we go. Just fill all of this in. Then I'll take maybe a little black in there, a touch of magenta perhaps, give it a nice dark colour, and go down here and add some dark. So I know with painting they say, especially with oil paintings, they say kind of start from dark to light, but when I'm painting something like this, I like to be careful because once you put on very dark colours, it's quite tricky to lighten them with oils, I find. So sometimes I like to play safe and just have some caution when doing this kind of stuff. So I tend to take my time with colours and, avoid putting in too much dark colour too soon. I just find it's really helpful. So there we go. I'm going to now take some Naples yellow, maybe a bit of white, mixing all this together on the canvas. Bringing that down like that. So I'm just starting the process of getting the lights in, and the way the jacket kind of blends into the darkness. So we've kind of lights blending into darks, all that kind of thing. So there's a lot going on. But again, it's very, very early days, so take your time. Now, if you find this a little bit complicated, I do apologize. But I really think doing something like this really does help your ability as a painter. It really does give you a bit of confidence as well, I find. Because you'd never think of trying something like this. Well, I would have never tried to paint something like this in the past. I would have thought it was far too complicated and I just wasn't good enough. But then when you do it once, it makes you realise that, you know what, there's so much out there that I could try to paint and I can paint it. So don't tell yourself that you can't. just give yourself a little credit. And do you know what? Every now and then, give yourself a little pat on the back, because you deserve it. You're doing very well, and you deserve it. Because you may not think your artwork is very nice, but other people might think it's just fantastic. As they say, it's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? So look, just give yourself a little credit. Now I'm just moving across to the face here, okay? It's really just in order to get little bits and pieces in. You know what I mean? I'm going to now take some black and some blue, black and phthalo blue. Just go down here and fill this in with nice dark colour. I'm just going to fill in all of the foot with this, and then I can go over it with my lights, my very bright highlights. So I'm just going to go like this. The highlights will then really show off the darks, you see. I'm going to go up here and put some of this in here. We have, so you see, we have some lovely rich kind of dark colours. Let's add some sienna into this and put some sienna in under there like that. Create some little movements on the sleeve and the arm. So you can see how all of these small little details really start adding to the painting. Now the next step for me is to get some cadmium red and cadmium yellow. You're probably wondering, why cadmium red? I want to make a nice rich orange. Okay, and then I'm going to add some Naples yellow into that. I basically just want to get the highlight of this man's face. And this is where I'm not great, I'll be quite honest. So I'm just concentrating here now, my apologies. And then I just take a small pointy brush, and once we get the nose in, really, it kind of takes on its own shape then. So let's just go like that. Okay, a little bit. I know it probably looks a little bit funny. But as I said, I am not great at painting people, and I admit that, and I'm not ashamed to say that, because I'm terrible. But something like this is really a good challenge. I put some of this colour on the hat, and I'm going to soften it back. Like so. Now I know the hat is very big. It needs to be smaller, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do with the hat is I'm going to just dab some light colour into the background again. Let me just get a little bit of green. I just want to see now if this works. I'm just going to soften it back out into the greenery behind it, okay? Then I'll take my small brush, mix a nice dark blacky purple, and let's see, like so. Okay, it may be a little big still, but there we go. Now, he reminds me of someone. I can't think, I'll be honest. It reminds me of someone from a film or something. I think it's Jeepers Creepers or something like that. He's a weird looking thing anyway, isn't he? But yeah, I think that's what it is. And I know you're probably laughing now saying that, but look, it does. And I don't want them to resemble something like that. So I'm going to go back over it. My pointy brush. And they're probably saying, what are you doing? You're ruining it. What are you doing? That's all right. I'll just soften a little bit of sienna. Back into it, just there. And then maybe some burnt umber. Soften a bit of burnt umber into it up here. Then I'm going to take some black and put a black shadow under here. And I think he is actually wearing sunglasses in under that hat, but I'm not going to show that. I'm just going to go with the hat like this. And then add some nice warm sienna in under the hat, maybe with a little touch of naples yellow, and bring the curvature of the hat around. Now I know that's a bit bright in there, isn't it? That yellowy colour, that white. It is, isn't it? So let's just take it down a bit. Using a dry brush, just take it away. Again, I'm going to take some black, put a little black in along here. And now what I'm going to do with some black on its own, I'm going to start putting in some of these darks, okay? So now we should kind of start seeing it come together a bit more. And let's go in under here with some dark as well. I'm looking forward to starting the feet, or not the feet, the legs, because once they start lightening, once I start putting in the brights from those, you're really going to see a difference. You really, really are. A little bit of blue for around the back for a strap, we'll say, perhaps, or something like that. You see the way I'm just kind of messing around with the brush, really. Now I need to get some red, cadmium yellow and naples yellow. A nice warm colour, okay? And let's put in the hands kind of with the fishing rod here. You can see the lights then, they kind of come all the way up, don't they, all these lights. Catching the jacket, all those lights. We have a little bit up here, don't we? How it comes down. Just keep cleaning your brush in between this, just to get these colours nice and rich and bright. Then I'm going to go to the leg, just by the knee, start putting in some lights in there too. So some nice lights coming down like that. Just keep cleaning the brush. Keep your colours nice and bright and fresh. And again, try not to concentrate too much. Use another bit of a leg on the front. So, you see, it wasn't that difficult in the end, was it? I just kind of took my time. There we go. A little pair of sunglasses on this fella. And a small detailed brush now. A small detailed brush for some very small details. I'm going to go in with some really bright Naples yellow and white. And I just really want to catch the light on this. Because it's all about the light, isn't it? For me, it's all about the light. And the way the light is catching little areas. You can see it's really bright here and there, isn't it? And perhaps a couple of hints of Naples yellow as well, just around the knee. And I'm also going to suggest the darkness of the boots. He's more than likely wearing big boots, isn't he? I'm just going to suggest the darkness of the boots as well. And we've a little bit on the front of this one as well, don't we? There. Next we have his little fishing rod in his hand, don't we? I'm just going to fix my brush here now because there's a couple of stray hairs on my brush which I am not happy about. Okay. I'm going to put in the fishing rod because I think it's time for that to go in, don't you? Let's pop it in. So we have a nice big reel, fishing reel here, don't we? Like that. Okay. And we have a bit of darkness coming around here and there. The fishing rod is next. I'm going to just get this fishing rod in right now with some Naples yellow, and it's thinned down, okay? And get your brush to a nice point, and let's just go for it. Okay, there. You can use a ruler for this if you like. But you see, the problem is it's just disappearing into the background colour. So I'm going to add a bit of white into this. It's a bit better, isn't it? Okay. I'll put a little notch and maybe even a bit of darkness as well on that here and there. Okay, just like that, you see? And perhaps one or two suggestions of the fishing rod eyes there and there. You could even suggest a tiny, tiny shadow underneath some of that, if you like. You don't have to. It's up to yourself. You don't have to do that at all. And then perhaps suggest the tiniest little bit of a fishing line coming out. You see, it's only just tiny little bits. That's all. You don't have to go absolutely crazy with this. I'm going to just give a little bit of light to the fishing reel as well, like so. Now the next thing is really to put in the reflection of his feet, of his legs. That's the next important step for me. I'm going to take some burnt sienna Naples yellow, and I'm just going to go like this. Look, just give it a little bit of a wiggle, like so. And we can get some dark. Let's get some dark brown, a little bit of black, a little bit of blue, and we can put that in as well. Now I'm going to darken the reflection of him just a little bit at the back here, look, okay? I think it needs a bit darker colour, doesn't it? Perhaps some burnt sienna with a little red here and there. I'm just really now messing with colours, and I'll be very honest, that's what I'm doing. I'm just messing with the colours. Just to kind of see what happens, really. That's all I'm trying to do, seeing what happens. Now also, I want to put a little reflection of those lighter colours over there as well. I'm going to take a nice, maybe a hint of green, perhaps just for a moment, and we could put a hint of green just here and there as well, just to show it's kind of catching the reflections ever so slightly as well. And we could get some burnt sienna as well with some cadmium yellow in there. We could try some burnt sienna with cadmium yellow and put a little hint of it there as well for this. So you can see it's just a little hint. Okay, the tiniest hint. That's really all you need to do. Put it maybe one or two tiny ones just here and there, look. And we're just basically doing this to break up the water. That's all we're doing. The next thing I want to do is to just get my small brush with some black, and I want to darken some of these little dark ripples coming along. So again, I'm just cutting in front of some of those reflections, just to kind of push them back. It's really just to push the reflections back into the water, to sit them right back down in the water. That's all this is. And it does kind of help, all right. And you know what? We're nearly finished. We are almost done, I think. I don't think there's any need to keep going with this. You can if you like. It's completely up to yourself. But I find sometimes when you keep at something, you can make it worse. That can happen sometimes. So I would be very careful and stop if you feel like you've done enough. Just stop. So I think I will stop. I think I'm just going to call it finished and leave it at this. Because if I keep going now, I'm just going to make a mess of all of this. And I know I will. I've done it before. Just going to get 1 or 2 darks in here. Oh, there's one thing I forgot. The brightness on the back of that, on that corner there of the boat. That real bright highlight. I completely forgot about that. That one little piece. And in underneath this. So, again, I'm just going to go in here, darken that down a little. Perhaps put one here. Now, you won't see that because it's going to be framed. So I think just to finish it off, bright white just across the top. And my friends, I'm calling this finished. I think I just want to add one more tiny amount of a rich orange just here. I think it needs it. And I'm calling that finished. So, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this. I will be back with another tutorial. I'll be back with another tutorial for you very, very soon. And remember, look, just try to keep it simple if you can. Just have a bit of fun. Try to have a little bit of fun. And there we go. I'm just going to soften some of these reflections very gently. I'm just softening the paint together slightly, okay? To make it nice and soft. And we are done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that, because I really have. That was so much fun. I'm eager now to frame this and see how it looks in a lovely frame. So there we go. Thank you so much. I hope it didn't make it too complicated for you, but if anything else, if you've even learned a few little hints and tips, that's made my job worth it. I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to my patrons for your support. Thank you. I'll see you very soon. Happy painting.